What's happening, Pisces? And welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and I hope you're having an awesome week so far. So, for those of you who are returning, I'm back. Check me out. And that's just because you keep coming back too with your likes and shares, you wonderful Pisces, you. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm happy your higher self has brought you here. You are in for an amazing journey. Now, what I'm going to be doing this week is a tarot card reading for the week of November 6th through the 12th. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one, so take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me. Never force a reading on a situation, okay? So, with that being said, let's jump into it. Did you see that transition? Flawless. I'm seriously, I'm elated. Gems, we don't know what to do. Well, other than pull 15 cards. And they're going to be in 5 groups of 3. Oh, and maybe all over the place. The middle group is going to represent the nature of your problem. Yikes. The upper left and right hand corner are going to represent some future problems that you might be considering. The bottom left will be some perspectives you're thinking about in relationship to the nature of the problem. And finally, the bottom right will be whatever messages your higher self would like you to know. And in case y'all were curious, I'm using Aleister Crowley's Thoth deck. The imagery on these cards are so cool, so I'll make sure to show those all throughout. But without further ado, higher self, what do we have in store for Pisces this week? Well, let me get your cards pulled, and then we will get to it. Okay. Let's move that over. Interesting. Ah, there you are. Love it. I love it. Oh, I don't even know if you can see it. You'll see it. There, you see it? Okay. All right. Get it together, Justin. Let me get these cards all situated and then we will get started. Okay. 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 All right, I'm with it, Pisces. So, for the nature of your problem this week, you have the Butterfingers here. 2 of disc. No, not the nature of your problem. And then the cards that came along with it, keep it moving. 10 of Wands and the 9 of disc. I promise we're going to get through this, Pisces. I promise. And you know what? This is probably good that this is the nature of your problem because we have to deal with the. It's this card is about change. This is a card about dealing with the fluctuations. And you see, my moods are constantly fluctuating. So this is good. What better practice than to come along on this ride? Because I'll tell you, it looks nice now. Well, you'll see in a minute. But with this card. This is a card of being honestly getting used to that change, to not just not revel in the fun, not revel in the well, I don't know if we're reveling in the work. We could be. You could just love what you're doing, which if you do, I'm all with it. But it's more so about just being used to that ebb and flow of life. And really, I find it's like, we're trying to find where we're getting into that sweet spot here, where we find that balance. Because this is where you didn't pull her, but this is where the priestess lives. That's where she set up shop here in, who's reading? I think it was in Gemini's reading, we set up shop. But this is where she lives. And that's to say that we've gotten to this place where we find that balance, where we find, because I find that sometimes the mantra has been, it's always been work hard and play hard. And I feel like when you have those extremes, it's hard to find that balance because you're going from, you've been working really hard, and then when it's time to come to recreation, you're still worn out from working, but now you got to take that on, bring that energy for playing hard, and then you got to look at this. We're going so far and back and forth with these energies, and there's no kind of way for them to look at how much distance that they have to make up to get this balance. Where the thing I'm trying to push now is let's get into this habit of working smart and playing smart. I feel like if we can get there, that's going to lead to this balance here. Where these fluctuations of life don't become so much, because sometimes, and this is too, I'm a Cancer, so we're water sign to water sign here. I feel like it's one of those things sometimes when we haven't taken that time, we've gone from one extreme to the other, and then we haven't taken that time to kind of rest in between. And then you got to deal with all these outside influence on top of that. That's a lot. That's a whole lot, and that's what will lead to this Ten of Wands here. Because the Ten of Wands for me is very, very destructive energy, even of the Wands. Like, of the Wands, I think this is the most destructive card. And destructive in the sense of just like, we've gotten to this place where it's just like this, I'm really feeling like this extreme life that you've been living. Like, we've been going from one extreme to the other. I mean, even looking at the nature of your problem, Ten of Wands and then Nine of Discs, how do we get oppression and gain in the same thing? That's where I'm really kind of feeling with this. And I feel like if we don't deal with this and kind of figure out how to assuage this fire here, this is going to lead to where even your gain is not going to be as big of a win as it could be. It's going to be, you're going to go from a real big win and then bam, right into a big loss. And and not to say that you're a loss. You're strength waiting to be discovered. But wisdom nonetheless that is being dropped on us. Because this card for me is just, it's very exacerbated, kind of just like, oh, you're at like, just being frayed, you're at this point where it's just like, what is going on? It's just really hot energy. And not to say, and I don't feel like we're living in this, but it's just that I do feel like you're in this world of extremes. Picture your sign, for example. You got the two fishes here. And I do feel like right now, it's just they haven't been doing that beautiful dance that they do. There's been a lot of infighting. It's like, no, I want to win. Well, no, we got to deal with this. Well, I want to. And I know the fish are doing a lot. But see, this is why we're here, because I told you I was going to do a lot. And now, I warned you. And now, with this being the nature, we want to get to where both these energies are being balanced. Because that's not to say this happens to the best of us, but that's the universe reminding us that we are the best. And that sometimes in order to get that growth, we're going to have to, you know what? Let's just get into your future here, because that's going to... hold on. Oh, did I talk about sorry. You know what, I didn't. Let's talk about the goodness. I focus so much on here. See, I work too hard. Let's play a little bit. No, we're working smarter. Let's be smarter. So, all over the place. But with the Nine of Disc, this is the card of gain, a card of success, of achievement. I really do feel like honestly, how I'm reading these, how I'm feeling these here too, because the thing with how I pull it with these groups of three, if I got cards of like suits here, they enhance each other. And with this, I'm really, there's that connection there. And I really feel like if you really want to get the most out of your gain here, if you just don't want to be because it's one thing, I feel like you've been getting this gain, but there's just been this heat underneath, this fire that's like, yay, this is exciting, but I got to deal with this. And I really feel like once you apply that change, I really do feel like in getting used to that flow, that working smart and playing smart, that getting out of that extreme, I feel like that's going to enhance your gain so much. And let me get into your future stuff here, because over here on this right-hand side, we have the Nine of Wands, you have the Seven of Disc, and then there you are, that good old moon. Oh, and oh man, we have so much to talk about the moon, but that's going to be a little bit later. Pisces, you're about to get it, but in the best way. because you're taking that rest with this Nine of Wands. This is a card of, this is like one of my recovery cards here. This is also too, and I really, yes, Nine of Wands, because I really do feel like this is card too, that change brings stability. That's, hey, I can't make this up. That's just one of the things that it means. And I really do feel like I'm emphasizing the recovery part of that and that change. Because then you can get to some more of these aspects of this card. You can make the most of this energy, because now we're cooking with a different heat here. And now once we've taken that rest and we've implemented those changes, now we can start applying some force so that we don't get to this place of feeling like we're defeated, failure. That's what the Seven of Discs is about. It's about unmet goals. It's about unfinished projects. Maybe putting in a lot of effort for little gain. You remember I was talking about? It's like, we've been getting some wins, but there's been this underlining fire here, and it's just like, you've been putting in all this work, but the gains have not been coming like they're supposed to, and it's just because I do feel like it's this extreme stuff here, and we do need to get out of that. And I feel like what better card than to lift that veil of this illusion that you need to do this stuff, that we have to go from one thing to one extreme to the next, than your card, the Moon. The Moon is a card of illusions, of mysteries, of embarking into the unknown. This could be, me telling you to balance a little bit more might be unknown territory, but I totally feel like you can handle it, because look, you showed me you can handle it. You showed up for yourself. Absolutely, Pisces. And you know what? While we're talking about showing up and all this energy and stuff, you're the last sign that I'm doing today, and I've just, I've made it a point to let everyone know this. I don't know if it's, the Moon is on one, not your card. The actual Moon is on one. The energy's really high. I may be reading too much into it, but since I've started, I've been feeling like there's been this shift in that, because when I do this is not me just laying out your fate here. This is your energy that you've brought to me, and you're being vulnerable with me, and I just want you to know that I feel that, and that I do greatly appreciate it, and that to remember that you are always in a safe space. This is a judgment-free zone. And I see you, I feel you, and I greatly appreciate it. This is the whole reason why I started this up, to build this soul tribe. Now let's talk about you a little bit more, Pisces, because I told you the Moon was on I love it. But yes, I do feel like with the Moon, I feel like this is also. I love it. The Moon can also represent voluntary change. You know what? I don't even know why I'm trying to talk about all this illusion stuff. We are focused. Change is the name of the game, Pisces. That's really what I'm feeling. I mean, we got it. What? Change here, change in here, change as the nature of your problem. Let's make some adjustments. Let's get to this place of where let's embark into the unknown. Now we can get a little more nuanced with this card. Let's embark into the unknown. If this is not in your, this is a little out of your realm, I say stick with it, because what's going to happen, let's get over here. I feel like what's going to come from this is you got Queen of Disc, you got the Hierophant, and then the Fool. And I love this, because I do feel like once we start implementing these changes, doing these things, taking a little more time to rest, being more intentional with how we're expending our energy. I feel like that's a better way of putting it. That's where I feel like our goal is trying to get. Where we're being just really mindful with how we're expending our stuff here, because that's what the Queen of Discs does. Because look at this, she has a whole big undertaking out here that she needs to do. She's got this whole field that she's working with, but she's not doing this in a place, she's rested. Look how she's looking right now. This girl is rested. She's practical, and I mean practical in the sense of like, not that because you're so practical, Pisces. No, I mean practical in the sense of like, she does the change game. She's all about this change. Look at this disc. She knows how to do this. But that's not to say, remember how I said the best of us go through it. She went through it too, but she didn't stay in it. She found that balance, because she knows that this isn't just going to happen overnight. This is going to take some work, but man, when it's done, it's going to be such rewarding work. And I do feel like, once that implementation happens with this, starting to be a little more thoughtful with your energy, we're going to get to this place of just divine wisdom, the Hierophant, a lot of earth energy here. Some of you might have some earth placement in your chart, but I'm loving this. And the disc too, if we're if we've been working on some kind of projects, and maybe that's why you've been working, kind of hustling real hard too. You're just like, well, Justin, listen, I got all this stuff that I'm working up right now. I'm so with it. Definitely work on your stuff, but see if we can find a way, because the disc can represent, like, business affairs, monetary issues, but I do feel like with this, even if this is something, you're starting new, just to remember to pace yourself. It's because, like I said with her, this doesn't all happen overnight. You gotta feed. It's gonna take some time. You're gonna have to feed into it. But if you're being smart, being wise, like the Hierophant that I know you are, then everything is going to flourish in a way that I don't. It's unreal, Pisces. The energy is really big right now, so I feel like make the most of that, and to remember too that even though, I'm not saying go as slow as the Hierophant, because the Hierophant in this deck, he moves like every 2,000 years, and homie, ain't nobody got time for that. You do, but the rest of us, we got a little bit, we're in a hurry. But I will say, while you're having to be a little patient, to keep that excitement going, to not let it become like this arduous thing where it's just like, well, crap, I feel like I gotta slow down a little bit. Now I'm like, man, I gotta watch this flower grow. Why can't you just be bloomed? Because that's not how flowers work. And I mean, I'm not a botanist, and I'm not even sure where that analogy came from, but I want you to come with that same enthusiasm, just a little bit more mindful, and to appreciate this journey a little bit more. I've been feeling that I'm seeing a common kind of thing amongst the mutable signs. Sagittarius, oh my goodness, now I'm in a blank. Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and yourself, that there's been this energy of just like, real kind of like antsy, kind of like, let's go, and then not appreciating the journey along the way. So I do feel like, just remember, that just like, because the Queen of Cup, or excuse me, the Queen of Disc, when she's thinking about getting in this field, I know it might be hard to picture her doing what the Fool is doing, but she is totally coming with that energy every time she gets out of bed, getting ready to tackle this energy. And that's basically where I was trying to get with this Fool. Now, let's see where your head's at. Let's get some perspectives in the mix here. Come on, Pisces. You got the Queen of Swords here. You got the Ace of Swords. And the Knight of Discs. We look at that. We had to call hubby, because if you don't understand, Pisces, we're getting that clarity, and you know what? You probably do, because this is where your head's at. So if we're getting that clarity, I'm all for it. Keep that momentum going. If we're not there, hopefully I caught you early enough so that we can start thinking about these things. Because with the Queen of Swords, she is a liberator of the minds, and liberator of the minds in the sense that, like, when she gets these kind of hard lessons here, these moments for wisdom and mindfulness, she takes them for what they are. She sees the lessons in them, and then she doesn't hang on to them, because she needs to make sure that she's light enough to sit on her throne of clouds here. Because if she falls through and falls through her cloud because she's holding on to these lessons like here, that does not make a happy Queen of Swords. Absolutely not. But she is about that clarity, and I do feel like that clarity is coming from you. And if she wasn't validation of not, look at that dagger in her hand, because now you're getting a close up. With the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Swords is the root of the air, root of the powers of air. And air, yes, air and swords have to deal with intellectual matters. And I do feel like with this one too, the Ace of Swords represents that strength to rise up to this occasion. I feel like this is, and it's also too, you remember, it's also my card of like, with great power comes great responsibility. And I don't say that lightly, it definitely does. But I am feeling like more so here, you're coming with that know-how and that clarity to tackle a situation head on, and to get to your get to your Knight of Disc area, to get to that sort of that grounded place, because that's where the Knight of Disc in our relationship. I'm not sure when it started, but we've our relationship has started to change over this week. Because this when I look at him now, especially with all this like if you've been feeling that sort of that antsy, just kind of staticky, little real electric, anxious kind of energy. He's a great figure of just like getting back to being grounded. Um, and he was facing when he came up, the knights, depending on the direction that they're facing, can also may possibly mean the coming to or arrival of some energies. And I do feel like with this, what great energy coming in, because of the knights, he's the only one that's not in motion. Like all the other knights are like, oh, perfect example. Look at this guy, and this guy's going in hot. He is ready. But with this one, yeah, he's just like, and it's not that he hasn't accomplished anything. Look at how much behind. Look at his background. You see, they got together. It was just like, yo, what part of this field are we going to tackle today? We're going to tackle this part, and then she's going to go out and do some more, and then he's just staying here and just like kind of tending to that field, because I love this energy, and I do feel like this is where we should end up here, and we being you, Pisces. I'm living through you right now. Yeah, that's why I don't want to beat him to death. But you know what? Let me also yes, I do. Because one more thing, not literally, is that with you having both him and the Hierophant, I really feel like there is this emphasis on patience. You'll know, trust your intuition. I mean, you're probably you're so intuitive, Pisces. Trust that gut. If we've kind of been checked out a little bit, let's get back in touch with our higher self. And bring it home, higher self, because bring it home. You got the Lovers here, you got the Prince of Cups, and then the Knight of Wands. Trust your higher self. What I just say? Trust your intuition, because that's exactly what the Lovers card is. One of my intuitive cards. It's a card of intuition, imagination, innovation, inspiration. I think that's every I word that I know. I'm kidding. But it is. It's one of those cards that it's like it might be a time maybe we've gotten a little spiritually detached. And I mean spiritually detached in the sense of just like you and your higher self haven't been, you've been cranking out. You've been doing some good work. But we've been ignoring some lessons as well, and your higher self is just trying to. I like to feel like when the Lovers pops up, this is kind of like your higher self just sort of like winking at you, just like, hey buddy, let's get back to where we're just balanced again, because think of this too with the Lovers. This represents your masculine and your feminine side, because we all have that in us, and then it's that coming to. And then you got this main figure here. This is where we're all trying to get to. This is the end game for the Lovers. It's getting to our higher self. Becoming that oneness with our higher self. And you know what? Too, I feel like with the Prince of Cups coming up, normally he's my card of just don't you don't have to while you're going through all of this. I feel like this is one of the cards. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed by this, haven't been a little down in the dumps, I say don't hold that in, because this is one of Scorpio's cards, and this card is it's very secretive in the sense of not like you're like lying or anything like that, keeping secrets, but more so keeping secrets in the sense of like you're holding your feelings back. We're putting this facade on the outside of just like, no, everything is fine, totally got this, look at me managing, yeah, gain 9 of disc all day. But what's underneath that surface, Pisces? Do we still got some remnants of 7 of discs there? Is that ocean bubbling? Are we at a simmer? Where are we at with all of this? Because your higher self gets it. I really do feel like your higher self understands that you have so much you want to accomplish. You have such big energy, because that's the Knight of Wands. He's the fiery part of fire. Wands being fire, Knights being fire. Hot. You're coming in with this big energy here, and I'm all for it. The only caveat, and so is your higher self, the only caveat with him is that when he goes, if he's not going with any direction, or if he's just going just to go, it's just like, well, I'm just gonna start stuff, I'm just gonna do it, we're working hard, we're playing hard, then eventually he's gonna burn out. And really the result of the result of when a Knight of Wands, honestly for me, when a Knight of Wands burns out, that's how we end up in a Hanged Man moment. Because eventually, and you know, let's go ahead and we can go ahead and transition back. So really, I feel like yeah, when we're just going just to go, you know, I get where you want to, where we just want to just create. You know, this is the energy is good for it. This is a great time for some manifesting. But I really more so, I'm feeling the overall message with this, even more so than patience. It really is. Let's just emphasize that even the working smart, playing smart. Let's just be very intentional with how we're expending our energy. You know, be very mindful of like check in with how you feel. Does this make sense? What is you know, kind of weigh out some pros and cons. You know, don't I say, you know, trust. I don't need to over explain it to you. Trust your gut. Again, water sign to water sign. Trust your gut, and it's this because you're doing some really great stuff. I do. I see that. I see that. I feel that. Um, it's all going to come in due time. You know, it's going to come exactly when it's supposed to be. You are exactly where you need to be in this point in time. Know that, okay? I hopefully that'll resonate with you. You know, and don't force it. You know, it's just if you're going through that. Hopefully, this gives you at least a little bit of clarity here. So, do all those YouTube things. You know, if you haven't already subscribed, you know, like, share, tell all your friends, and to just get a better idea of yourself in all of this. You know, check your moon, check your rising, and the challenge this week is to check our north node. What's that, Justin? I gotta check a north node on top of all this stuff? Yes, and let me tell you why. Because it popped up in Celestial News Weekly. Now, before we jump into the news, I've been telling everybody this. We're still Knight of Wandsing all the way for Celestial News Weekly because I love it. However, just like the Knight of Wands, I'm realizing that I'm running out of hand gestures to do and all these signs. And I'm like, wait a minute, how long am I going to be doing this channel? Indefinitely. So this is going to be a little bit harder than I thought. I would need at least 6 more arms for this to be even slightly interesting. Otherwise, I'm going to have to start doing flips and then we lose our message. So, energy's still good. Hand signs are just going to be curned down just a little bit, but we're still bringing it. Okay, that was aggressive. On to the news. And you'll see why. I told you we're going to go through it. You're going through it. And I'm going through it. Because we're going to, on the 8th, there's going to be a total full moon lunar eclipse. And I know, I'm probably way overexcited, but this is like, something, I'm feeling it. You know, it's my ruler. My ruler and I, we're bonding. And she wants to bond with you too because look, you're the moon. Duh. Okay, Justin, you're being silly. Full moon. The full moon represents a relief. Look at you. Relief. Excuse me. Release and manifestation. And I see you manifesting. I see it. You're cooking. We're cooking up some good stuff here. And I feel like, you know, this is why we might be feeling kind of off this week. It's just because with the eclipse happening, eclipses tend to throw just kind of curveballs at us. So it's like while you're in the middle, imagine you're cooking up your stuff, and then someone throwing stuff at you. Just what the that's. I don't know what we're doing, but that's exactly what'll happen. That might be what it feels like. So no, for those that small few who resonated with that, I feel you on that. Last thing, because I feel like I'm just being silly. The moon's going to be in the 11th house. Let's talk about some challenges, or some other challenges, because you know, with the moon being, it's going to be in the 11th house. It's going to be in Taurus. There's just so much going on. The moon's exalted in Taurus. This could bring challenges for our goals, our objectives, our friendships, and even how we feel like we might fit into like a group. So, you know, this is just one of those times. It's really you see what's going on. So, you know, maybe steer clear or help or help your Cancerian friends. um, yeah, moving on. North Node. Why did I bring up this North Node? Let me tell you. Because the North Node's going to be in the same, they're going to be very close to each other, the Moon and the North Node. They're in the same house, same sign, all that stuff. They're like 10 degrees apart. But I was saying for if we're not sure where to expend this energy, or we're trying to while we're trying to get that balance and getting that our groove back again, this could be a good time because the North Node is known as the dragon's head, which is sick, but it also indicates maybe any kind of goals that we need to achieve in this lifetime, any sort of new skills, faculties, anything that's going to help us advance in this on this journey that we're going on. And I feel like I kind of brought that up. So if you've been feeling this uncertainty, not quite sure where to, our intuition's even been feeling kind of off. Maybe this is a good time just to just help you bring some fresh perspectives in, if you will, and to maybe hopefully get you to that guy. Oof. Okay, hold on. Let me drink some. I gotta drink some tea real quick. Because I tell you, the energy, I'm not kidding, the mutable signs energy has been just like really explosive. Um, but I say that in a great way because there's some good stuff. I mean, overall, the energy is really good for some manifesting. Next, a little more moon stuff. The moon's going to be going void, of course. Well, it goes void, of course, all the time. Let me be more specific. The moon, if you're not familiar, the moon travels within each sign like every 2.5 days. And during that period, when it goes from one sign to the next, it's called the void, of course. And it's just a time where the moon just kind of wanders. Where it's wandering to, we don't know. Listen, the moon sometimes minds her own business. I mind my own business. We have a great relationship. It's fine. Um, but during that time, it can be a good time too for resting, for recharging our batteries, for some quiet introspection. I don't even know if you could see that. I couldn't see anything. But for some nine of wands, yeah, just for recharging our batteries, for just to get back zen again, and get to where we can tackle things with a fresh light. And it could be also too, and this is not to say that when I'm doing the news, this is not like I'm not reading the law to you. Like this is gonna happen to you, settle in. No, this is just more so kind of like these are some energies that if you're open to that, if you want to try to figure out how the energies work with you, you have this available to you. And that's really more so. It's more so to just kind of spark that curiosity and just to see how you work with the energies. But all that to say that one of the things it could also mean as well is that sometimes when we try to make decisions or schedule things, any type of planning, during that period of time, it tends to fall through. But you're in luck because it normally doesn't last longer than a day. I think the longest that I've at least noticed so far was when it went from from Scorpio to Sagittarius. The moon was void, of course, just wandering for like 19 hours. And that totally makes sense because think about it. The moon, it's constantly changing faces in different signs and taking on all of this stuff and having all these meanings. Even the moon needs a break sometime, just a little reprieve. So a little respite. But this is going to be, where was I going with that? But yeah, that's just all like stuff tends to follow through or fall through. So pay attention to that. See if that applies to you or how that applies to you. The dates that this is going to be happening, first one's going to be on the 9th. It'll be from 6 a.m. to 7:36 a.m., so about an hour, 36 minutes. And then on the 11th, it'll happen from 4:28 p.m. until 6:21 p.m., so about a little under 2 hours. But yeah, just during that time, just if you have some time, if you can fit in some, even just take a nap. If you're meditating is not your thing, yeah, chill, watch your. Well, I won't say that I'm your favorite tarot card reader, but one can dream. We're manifesting. Now, let me do some aspects and get your surprise card, get you out of here, so that you can go rest up. The sun is going to be conjunct with Mercury, and when that's happening, our which I'm going to need some of this energy, is kind of shining a light on our mental processes. So this is a good time for scheduling meeting. The day before the void, of course. How appropriate. We can get some meetings scheduled, get some conversations down, negotiation contracts. Let's get all that stuff taken care of before the void, of course. And I always talk about my crystal friends, but I started to include how they can assist you. Or what stones or crystals can assist you with these energies, and something to consider when you're going through these aspects, at least for the sun conjunct Mercury. Get your good old sunstone if that's your jam. And then good old quartz. Keep that clarity. Love it. Next, Mercury is going to be conjunct with the North Node, because yes, it can totally do that. And with this happening, it's kind of like we might be at this point where we're just like, well, apparently we are we're cranking it out here, feeling really prolific. But maybe when we're going to express these ideas or go to pitch some things, the timing hasn't quite felt right, or it seems like it feels like you're forever in a void, of course, if you will, which you're not. But it could be a time too where it seems like your ideas are just met with a lot of criticism, and I feel like this is less of energy of like, oh, all of these things are happening. It's just more of expanding our perception a little bit. It's like I say at the beginning, take what resonates with you, leave this silliness with me, or take it with you, whatever, take what, don't, even like whatever you want, whatever you get from this, if it resonates with you, take it. And then that way no one's arguing. It's just like, and especially not during Mars retrograde, so we could just be like something as simple as oh, I hadn't thought of that, if it's not something you want to consider. Oh, I hadn't thought about that, it's definitely going to be on my list, and I will get to it when I get to it. And that way, no one's lying. You will get to it when you get to it, when it resonates with you, because you never force it. That's what we've learned from here. We never force it. And a crystal to assist, that good old quartz again. Tell you, the quartz, ooh, I'm glad we became friends. Oh, sorry about that. That's not how I treat my friends, I promise. Last thing, Venus is going to square, I was going to say square the quartz. Venus is squaring Saturn. And when this is happening, this is just kind of a time to check in with our relationships. Make sure to see who to let in, who to open up to. Because you remember when I was talking about that, maybe we need to just, while we're not suffering in silence, when we're trying to figure out who to open up to, this is a good time maybe to even reestablish some boundaries. Either reestablish or to establish some, depending on the relationship. Because we're in the Scorpio season, and yeah, this is that time to just like, we're really kind of solidifying our close relationships here. So, oh, and I have 2 more friends to make. But if you want some crystals to assist you along with this energy, opal's a good one, and onyx as well. So, yeah, I like that, Pisces. Thank you for sticking with me. I told you it was going to be a trip and a half. Let me get your surprise card here, and look at that. Prince of Swords. I love all the royalty has been popping up for this. So with the Prince of Swords, my thing with him, super smart, just like you, Pisces, so smart. The problem with him is that sometimes when he can get to this place where either his energies are kind of can be, because he lacks direction, is kind of what I'm getting at with him. And I feel like with remember we were talking about? So I feel like with him popping up as your surprise card, it really is kind of emphasizing just like, let's make sure that we are being intentional, being just intentional where we're sending our energy, being really mindful of how we're manifesting. Because that's another thing too. When you're if you get to this place, if you let this 10 of Wands get to where you're just like, or even the 7 of Disc, where if you get caught up in that loop, because sometimes when we're in it, if things aren't going our way, we can start making this. You see, what am I making here? This is some kind of weird spiral here, when we don't want that. we don't get on my face, but and not in a like a we're ignoring it. It's just like a where was I going with that? Being more intentional, being intentional with what we're saying, with what we're manifesting, where our mindset's at. Because this can he comes across very domineering, but it's just only because he doesn't know where to go. He's just trying to figure it out just like the rest of us. So show some compassion for yourself. Know that you're not alone in this, and know that you got, whenever you're in doubt, need a pick me up, need something to just kind of, while you're relaxing, something. If this made you even laugh a little bit, got you feeling a little bit lighter, these videos, I have them set aside from week to week, but just check into them whenever you need a pick-me-up. So, all right, Pisces, I'll leave that there. Stay safe out there. Let's keep raising that vibration, Soul Tribe, and I will catch you on the next one later.